Hey guys, Desolator Magic here, and luckily today we only have to suffer through 3 spoilers from Throne of Eldraine, which flipped from a fantastic looking, fun, interesting, best set ever to absolute hell on earth with the release of yesterday's spoilers. If you haven't seen that video, feel free. Or don't, I don't care. So today we've got Clockwork Servant. It's a 3-cost 2/3 artifact creature gnome, and it has adamant, which is odd because it's colorless, but it simply states when Clockwork Servant enters battlefield, if at least 3 mana of the same color was spent to cast it, draw a card. So just more fodder for the Steel Overseer deck, obviously. Nothing inherently wrong with this other than the fact that it's going to be completely ridiculous in the deck that it's in. And next we finally have a Spanish spoiler, Fuegos de la Invención. That of course means Fires of Invention. So this is a rare red enchantment for a cost. Allegedly, this is you can only cast spells during your turn, and you cannot cast more than 2 spells each turn. Well, we're off to a great start here. It's basically dropping a curse caliber card on yourself, but the second half says you can cast spells with converted mana cost less than or equal to the amount of land you control without paying their mana costs. Oh, good! You guys know that historically I'm a big fan of not having to pay for any spells. That deck archetype is never toxic and always works out and never gets banned from Standard. Now, because this would be the stupidest, most broken shit I've ever seen in my entire life, this would make Aetherworks Marvel look like it should have been in Standard by comparison, they decided to put a limit on it. So you can't cast a spell whose converted mana cost is above the amount of lands you control. So you can kind of run away with the game a little bit, but this would probably have to be, I'd say a Gruul deck, but without the creatures, so not Gruul, it would just be red-green in color. You would have to artificially fetch lands out of your deck and drop them into play directly 1 or 2 at a time artificially with spells that let you do that for a fairly low mana cost. Maybe get some early game ramp as well to get this actually out into play. That said, you can only run 4 of in your deck, but then once you've fetched 10 lands into play, you can just play anything. But then you'd have to have a way to put it in your hand, and those colors don't do draw, nor can you protect anything you've got in any way, especially on your opponent's turn, during which you can't actually cast anything. So adding blue for draw and counter spells wouldn't help at all. I mean, I'll be honest with you, I actually don't think this is a very good card. I feel like they started out with a batshit crazy card and then decided, Marvel though, and then they put such a ridiculous set of 2 restrictions on it that it's basically unplayable. Now, I'm only thinking the caliber of holy crap runaway broken deck. In a fair and balanced deck, you just would be running Gruul, you throw this in, and you just summon your whole hand. Then find some way to maybe, always cast the top card of your library. I think that's a thing Gruul can do. And just chuck big giant creatures at them. Just get out the fatties. I think that would be an effective deck, and that's probably what they had in mind. But to set up something just equivalent to Omniscience, I don't think it's realistically doable in Standard. I could be wrong. It depends on the rest of the spoilers, and it depends upon what's in the next 3 sets. Just saying. What I do know for sure about this card is it never should have been printed, because what is the benefit here? You've got this horribly dangerous, known to be problematic mechanic of not making people pay for any of their spells. So then you restrict it, walk it back. And why? Why was it so important to print this card? Why is this card so important to Standard that you didn't just give up on it and print something actually fun and interesting? What is Wizards' obsession lately with printing potentially horribly overpowered cards and just they're playing with fire, and then what is the benefit? They could have printed some interesting dragon with an interesting effect. They could have printed a Commune with Lava effect, or literally the card Commune with Lava. They could have had a self-destructing red bomb where anytime that anybody clears your graveyard, for every card that leaves your graveyard, they take 1 damage. That would have been a fun defensive card for Izzet. Not that they need it. I hate Izzet, but it would have been interesting compared to this shit. So I don't get why they're like, yeah, great idea for a card. Oh, that would be way too powerful. Well, let's not cancel it. Let's not give up on it right away. No, give up on it right away. If it's been notoriously banned multiple times in multiple formats, free casting, then maybe you should stop even considering it in the first place. Because we all know if you go from considering it to nobody stopping you to R&D failing to do their jobs, which you can always count on, then we get Marvel. Aetherworks Marvel, by the way, in case you were wondering. It ruined Standard for well over a year. So this card is an idiotic waste of space. Let's move on to the third one, which is Henge. So apparently they're really tripling down on that word henge, which according to dictionary.com really is almost at the point of being an honorary proper noun. It really does quite specifically refer to exactly one set of things, not like interchangeable with the word fence, which is I'm pretty sure what Wizards thinks it is. By the way, they keep referring to the Great Henge. So in the flavor text on this one, everything that inhabits Garenbrig, whatever the hell that is affected by the wild magic flowing through the Great Henge. So that probably has something to do with Fae versus civilized society, because that's what's going on. Apparently the Court of Eldraine, or the Society of Eldraine, whatever, the civilization, they're very anti like crazy wild magic, or really even magic use at all, it seems, except that they all use magic. But they, at the very least, we know, don't like shape-shifting. I don't know, there's just certain Fae magic they don't like. So they clearly don't get along with the fairies, who use Fae magic like crazy. Among some others, I know that the Red Caps they had something to do with the Fae in every other game, so why not? So I think the fairies opened up a portal called the Great Henge, or some kind of henge. I mean, I suppose the henge could be a portal, I don't know. So that's my lore speculation. I probably could just read the book. I think it's out now, but I think we all know I'm not going to do that. So anyway, the actual creature back in the actual game, which I'm super disinterested in at this point because it's unplayable. It's a 3-cost 2/2 golem with adamant. If at least 3 mana of the same color was spent to cast the spell, Hengewalker enters the battlefield with a +1/+1 counter on it. Oh boy! So the reason this is underpowered, generic, filler jank garbage is because of Steel Overseer. Just in case you were wondering. It's going to be artifacts versus control hell, and that's it. That's the meta 1 month from now. I'm calling it right now. Well, that's it for today's spoilers, which is good because I'm in an unbelievable amount of pain due to an injury I sustained yesterday and I can barely walk. So fuck my life. And fuck the state of standard. I hear you, Wizards of the Coast. I hope Hasbro comes in and fires you all. Don't forget to hit subscribe for more positivity to brighten up your day. I'll see you guys next video.